Good morning, students. Let's start with a new chapter today. We'll start with All Summer in a Day. Now, it is on page number 107 of your book, if you can open it. It says here, they've given the introduction of the writer. Let's read it. Ray Douglas Bradbury was an American fantasy, science fiction, horror, and mystery fiction author. His short story All Summer in a Day is set on the planet Venus and describes in vivid detail the day when the planet experiences sunshine, an event that occurs only once in 7 years. The scene is set in a school where the teacher and the children awaits the appearance of the sun. The story explores the darker side of the human nature that is manifest even in children as they pick on Margot simply because they see her as different from them. Bradbury's tale ends on a note of hope as the children seem to feel shame and remorse for their thoughtlessness. Okay, now as the introduction says, now this story is set on the planet Venus, and we can see that the people of the earth, what they have started is, it's a fiction of course, so the people of the earth, they have started moving to Venus and they've started settling there. Now Venus is a planet where they have continuous rain and there's no sun only comes once, that too for an hour or two, after 7 years. So there, for the people living there, sun or looking at the sun or sunshine is a very big thing. They only get to see the sun once in 7 years. But the people who are born on earth, brought up here, they have experienced the sunlight every single day. Now the same thing happens with this little girl, Margot. She was sent on Venus. She was actually sent by her parents because they wanted her to, live her life there. Now, many people from the earth, they went on another planet, Venus, so that they can start a civilization there. However, it was pretty difficult as there was continuous rains, right? There was no end to these rains, and they had these underground cities, underground schools and everything. They thought it is better to start with the children, right? Because children, they can actually adapt in any kind of environment. So these children were sent on Venus, and this whole story takes place in a school which is underground again, and children and these teachers, they all are waiting for the sun. Now after 7 years, this is the same day when the sun is about to come for an hour or two. Now Margot, uh, she was on earth before going to Venus, so she has already seen the sun and the sunlight. She's felt the warmth. She's well aware of the sun and the sunlight. But the children who are there, they're the ones who have, who have actually born there. So for them, the last time when they were all 2 years old, that's the time when they saw the sun. And now somewhat they were 9, and now they will see the sun again. And Margot, she had been on earth for 4 to 5 years, so she knows what the sun is like, how you can feel the warmth. Now, when Margaret was shifted on Venus, when she was sent there, she was not happy. She was reluctant, right? Because they have a different lifestyle, everything closed. And because of the continuous rain, she had that kind of a thing in her mind that she hated water. She really hated water. She even hated bathing, right? And it was all because of the continuous rain that she had experienced. Her color was completely pale, different from the people living there. And, she was thin and frail kind of a girl. Now, somehow, what happens is her classmates, they are not happy with her. They feel as if there's something wrong with her. Why? Because she was not born there. She's completely different. She misses her home. She misses earth. And she has experienced sun. That is why they feel that she's different, right? They'll bully her. They'll make fun of her. So we can see how it's not only about the elders. We have seen these kind of things in the children as well. Even children, they have the jealousy kind factor, they have, the bullying factor. So the same thing comes here. We can see the darker side of the human nature even in the children, how they push her, how they're not happy to accept the fact that she has experienced the sun, right? So there are many things that happens in this story. And finally we can see that, the teacher gives a project. Once she tells them all to paint something, right? Paint. And she paints sun and in a beautiful manner. Children, they are not happy to know that she has experienced the sun, so they make fun of her. She even had the poem written on the sun, which again was not acceptable by the other children. So, it's a different kind of a thing altogether. But the attitude of children and how they bully each other, how they create nuisance in the class is completely same, right? Although it is set on the planet Venus, we can see, the sound of the rain has actually made her miserable. And after that, apart from this, we can also see that she's also willing to see the sun. But children, they lock her in the cupboard, right? They lock her in the closet, and she'll miss that 1 or 2 hour. She'll keep crying, but nobody's there to listen to her. So she's all locked in the closet. Nobody is there to open it. After 2 hours, when these children, they'll return, then they'll realize that, okay, they have made a mistake. And that's when they unlock Margot. So they have that guilt of locking her, but they have another hatred towards her. They also don't like her because of the reason that very soon she was to be sent back on earth, where she will have a better life, where she will enjoy her life. So children, somehow they have this jealousy factor in them as well. So there are different, aspects of human nature that can be seen here, even in the children. So let's start with the story. It's a nice story. Page 108, All Summer in a Day. Okay, as the title again says, we are talking about the whole summer season in a single day, right? Planet Venus. Ready, ready, now, soon. So here, do the scientists really know? Will it happen today? Will it? Now, there's a class. You can understand how students, they talk. They all are really excited to know, and they all are, asking, is it today? Is it happening today? Do you think so? Scientists, they're sure that the sun will come out today. Look, look, see for yourself. The children press to each other like so many roses, so many weeds, intermixed, peering out for a look at the hidden sun. Now, maybe they were underground, but they had a window, and these students, they were pushing each other through, and they were looking out of the window, waiting for the sun to come. Remember, the children pressed to each other like so many roses, so many weeds. Underline it. It is what? You have it? Simile. Right? So these children, they are compared to these roses and weeds. It rained. It had been raining for 7 years. Thousands upon thousands of days compounded and filled from one end to the other with rain. So it has been, it had been raining for so long now. For 7 years, you can imagine thousands and thousands of days. It had been raining, raining, and raining. With the drum and the gush of water, with the sweet crystal fall of showers and concussions of storms so heavy they were tidal waves come over the island. Now that place, Venus, was filled with rain. Only the different sounds of water could be heard. The drum, the gush of water, the sweet crystal fall of shower, the raindrops, and concussions of storm. Means even if there's a storm, they could hear it. It was underground kind of a city. 1,000 forests had been crushed under the rain and grown up 1,000 times to be crushed again. So of course there were trees, there were plants, and because of rain they were crushed, and because of the rain only they grew back again. So they were, there was a complete cycle of rain. Rain was continuous there. And this was the way life was forever on the planet Venus. And this was the schoolroom of the children, of the rocket men and women. Rocket means the people who preferred sending their children on another planet with Indio rockets, right? Who had come to a raining world to set up civilization and live out their lives. So these children were the children of those people who preferred to come here and settle and start a new civilization here. It's stopping, it's stopping. Yes, yes. Now, children, they were really excited. They were all near the window, and some were saying, oh, it's stopping. Maybe when it will stop, then we can get to see the sun. So they are all together, they're talking. You can understand. Margot stood apart from them, from these children who could ever remember a time when there wasn't rain and rain and rain. So Margot was different from the rest of the class because these children they had experienced rain since they were born here. They were all 9 years old, and if there had been a day 7 years ago when the sun came out for an hour and showed its face to stun world, they could not recall. Yes, of course, just imagine these are 9 years old kids. So 7 years ago, if the sun must have come for an hour, they cannot recall it, they cannot remember that. Sometimes at night, now we are talking about Margot, what happened to her. Sometimes at night she heard them stir, she heard them moving in remembrance, and she knew they were dreaming and remembering gold and a yellow crayon or a coin large enough to buy the world with. So while she was there, she could see the other children sleeping and dreaming about sun, right? So please remember gold or a yellow crayon, yellow or a coin. We're talking about sun, right? It's a metaphor now. She knew, they thought, they remembered a warmness like a blushing in the face, in the body, in the arms, and legs and trembling hands. So she know that okay, they are trying to remember the warmth of the sun. But then they always woke to the tatting drum, the endless shaking down of clear bead necklaces upon the roof, the walk, the garden, the forest, and their dreams were gone. But mostly these children, they used to wake up because of the sound of the rain. Tatting drums means the raindrops on the roof, right? So they used to get up because of the rain, this continuous raindrops, endless, okay, it says here, endless shaking down of clear bead necklaces. So it seems as if these raindrops will never stop. And it is compared to the bead necklaces. Remember that? All day yesterday they had read in class about the sun, about how like a lemon it was, and how hot. And they had written small stories or essays or poems about it. I think the sun is a flower that blooms for just an hour. So these are the thoughts of the children. They thought maybe it's like a lemon, maybe it is like a flower that blooms only for an hour. So they had different thoughts related to the sun. That was Margot's poem, read in a quiet voice in the still classroom while the rain was falling outside. Oh, okay, it says here, oh, you didn't write that, protested one of the boys. When he must have heard the poem, he said, oh, you didn't write that. I did, said Margot. I did. William, said the teacher. But that was yesterday. Now the rain was slackening, and the children were crushing in the great thick windows. Now that was yesterday when they must have discussed about the sun. And now today it was raining and they were waiting for the sun to come. Where's teacher? She'll be back. She'd better hurry. We'll miss it. Now, children, they were all looking outside the window. They were pushing each other. They were trying to see when the sun will come out. And they wanted the teacher to come so that they'll not miss the sunlight. They turned on themselves like a feverish wheel, all tumbling spokes. Margaret stood alone. She was a very frail girl. Now, you'll have to remember that she was a very delicate kind of a girl. Frail means delicate, who looked as if she had been lost in the rain for years and the rain had washed out the blue from her eyes and the red from her mouth and the yellow from her hair. She was an old photograph dusted from an album, whitened away, and if she spoke at all, her voice would be a ghost. She was actually tired and sick of the environment here. So, this rain had washed away the loveliness, the blue color from her eyes, the red color from her mouth, and the yellow color from her hair. Yellow means I'm talking about the blonde. So, that these colors have been washed away from this little child. And she looked like an old photograph, dusted from an album, or it's all whitened, there's no color in it, right? Now she stood separate, staring at the rain and the loud, wet world beyond the huge glass. So, beyond the huge glass, she could actually see the wet world. Why wet? Because of the rain. What are you looking at? Said William. Margot said nothing. Speak when you are spoken to. Now you can see how he's bullying her. The same thing happens with the children. They do have these human tendencies and they do act in a different manner. He gave her a shove, right? He pushed her, but she did not move. Rather, she let herself be moved only by him and nothing else. So she did not move, right? She was not at all worried about William. They edged away from her. They would not look at her. She felt them go away. Now these children, they were acting in a different manner. They never liked her. And they were just moving away from her. William was the one who pushed her. He's the only one who bullies her. We can see that, right? And they just pushed her and they walked away. She felt them go away, and this was because she would play no games with them in the echoing tunnels of the underground city. Now, there was a reason. She had never lived in an underground city. Now she felt as if she's bound, she was restricted, and when these children used to play and they like playing in the underground tunnels, underground cities, she would not play with them, right? Because of that, also, they hated her. If they tagged her and ran, she stood blinking after them and did not follow. So even if they were playing games with her, tagging her, she would not move or she would not run around, right? When the class sang songs about happiness and life and games, her lips barely moved. So she was a very different child. She was very quiet and she never participated in any of the activities. So we can see, okay, there's a reason she was there on earth for a longer period than these children could have ever imagined. And now, when she was shifted to Venus, it is hard or it is difficult for her to adapt. After that, only when they sang about the sun and the summer did her lips move as she washed the drenched windows. So she only liked singing songs about the summer and the sun. And then, of course, the biggest crime of all was that she had come here only 5 years ago from Earth, and she remembered the sun and the way the sun and the sky was when she was 4 in Ohio. So there was another crime that she had committed, that she was there on earth for the first 4 years of her life and she had experienced the sun. She knows how the sky looks. So she knows everything. She's from Ohio City. And that is another crime that she has committed. So children, that is why they never liked her. And they had been on Venus all their lives. They had been only 2 years ago when the sun came out, and had long since forgotten the color and the heat of it, and the way it really was. But Margot remembered. This was the worst thing that they can ever imagine. That Margot remembered the warmth, the heat of the sun, the look of the sun. Okay, we'll continue from here in the next video. Please read it so that you'll understand the story. It's a nice short story. You will love it. Okay, just go through it. Fine. So that is it for today. Thank you.